And we are live and direct. This is so exciting. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Potfeet. How are you on this fine daylight saving time day?
Well, I'm happy that the audio and video, I believe, is a little bit better than last week.
I sure hope so. It seems better to me, but we should let our listeners.
Can you talk to me again?
How about now? Am I coming through okay?
There we go. Yeah, I only wanted you once.
Yeah, I got to get Discord straightened away. How would Don
All
say
right.
that?
What's that?
How would Don sorted? How would Don say?
Yeah, sorted. Make sure everything's
Okay.
on.
One pod feet is enough.
One pod feed is enough. I think so.
Well,
did you give me all the audio files, sweetie?
They should be on the Drobo.
Yeah. See if I can get to the Drobo.
So
Did you shut the Drobos down, by the way?
No. In fact, Lindsay complained about that a little last night.
Right, but there was something else you were doing for.
Oh, I just restarted the Mac Mini, but that shouldn't affect.
Oh, okay. Because I had shut the Mac Mini down, which I thought would have shut up the Drobos. Ooh, John makes a mean salmon, huh?
So.
Okay, there's those, and let me get. I need to do.
So you found them?
Yes, I did, sir. Okay. Oh, that's security bits.
Frank is in the house.
He is. All right, almost ready to go and take roll call. Roll call.
I hear it.
Wish I could do that. Yeah.
I don't quite remember their phrasing, but it's pretty good.
That's a Saturday Night Live joke there. All right, here we go.
An oldie but goodie.
Yep.
No, we can't smell you, Frank. Not quite that.
Can't smell Frank? Do we want to smell Frank? I don't know what's going on. I think I've already lost control of the show. All right, we're going to do roll call. I feel so badly that we didn't get to play last week. It was such a full house. Looked like it was going to be a fun party, and I failed you. But I will explain how I failed you on the show tonight. So we've got Brett and Kevin, who claimed he was going to be late, but was accidentally on time. John, who is starving because his family's eating without him. Rick and Sandy. And let's see, I heard Frank was in the house. We briefly had Vectrix, who is apparently here. Toby.
Toby's still here. He's just not in the live show. Listen,
he might be on Discord, but not necessarily talking to us.
Good point. Jill's here. Did you get Jill?
Yeah, I don't think she's here either, because it says playing Dragon Quest.
Oh, okay.
So you never know. Jedi KV sometimes is here. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
All right. I wonder what happens if somebody's in Discord who is actually on our list. Like if Sandy was here but playing, she's in Discord, but she was playing a game and not in our live show, would she show with a green dot? And I think she still would.
I think she would.
We could give everybody membership titles, and then we could do an experiment on that.
No, right? Let's not do that.
All right. Maybe I should do a little test recording.
Let's do that.
Let's try that. All right. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, March 8th, 2020, and this is show number 744. Well, that was perfect. I might keep that. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted. Sound good?
Yeah.
It's good?
It's good. How come Rick popped up there? All right.
Rick misbehaving?
No, I think I selected his name accidentally.
All right. I'm going to mute you and start the show.
Go. Hit it.
Well, I wasn't allowed to tell you last week, but I am allowed to tell you this week. Steve and I are the proud new grandparents of a little tiny baby girl named Kennedy June. Okay, can't mispronounce her name the first time you say it. Starting again. Well, Steve and I weren't allowed to tell you last week, but I'm allowed. Oh, I took too long. Hang on. Let's start right up. Well, Steve and I weren't allowed to tell you last week, but we are allowed to tell you this week. We are the proud new grandparents of a little baby girl named Kennedy June Sheridan. Our son Kyle and his lovely wife Nikki gave us another grandchild on what was it? Was it a week ago Friday? I think she's just a week old, week and a couple of days, Steve. And so, anyway, we're very excited about that. And that is one of the reasons we were down at Lindsay's house when we were there, because she's making another grandchild for us. So we've got grandbabies all over the place. But we aren't here to talk about that. We are here to talk about tech. Well, this week's Chit Chat Across the Pond is a bit unusual. As I'll tell you in the intro, it isn't really an episode of Programming by Stealth, and it's not quite light enough for Chit Chat Across the Pond light. As Bart described it, it's PBS adjacent. But before that scares you away if you're not a programmer, let me explain why you would still get something out of this episode. In this episode, Bart explains how he built a series of services to help him manipulate text. Services are created using Automator, and they're accessed via the menu of any application that supports the particular service you create. Apple has unhelpfully renamed the way you create services as quick actions inside Automator. In this episode, Bart explains how he used JavaScript to create quick actions to change selected text into lower, upper, or title case, and even plain text. He's got one that counts characters, lines, or words, 3 different ones actually. You know how annoying it is when you copy some text and it's got, I don't like the way he did that. You know what? I'm sorry, guys. I'm starting all the way over. Starting from the beginning, because I talked to Steve because I felt like I was in it here with him in the live show.
So are you going to redo the Kennedy announcement?
Yep, okay. Probably screwed up again. Here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, March 8th, 2020, and this is show number 744. Well, I wasn't allowed to tell you about it last week, but I am authorized to tell you about it this week. We are the proud grandparents of a brand new baby girl named Kennedy June Sheridan. My son Kyle and his lovely wife Nikki made us another grandchild, so we're super excited about that. And Lindsay's making us a third one too. But we aren't here to talk about grandchildren. We're here to talk about tech. This week's Chit Chat Across the Pond is a bit unusual. As I'll tell you in the introduction, it isn't really an episode of Programming by Stealth, and it's not quite light enough for Chit Chat Across the Pond light. As Bart described it, it's PBS adjacent. But before that scares you away if you're not a programmer, let me explain why you'll still get something out of this episode. In this episode, Bart explains how he built a series of services to help him manipulate text. Services are created using Automator, and they're accessed via the menu of any application that supports the particular service you create. Apple has unhelpfully renamed the way you create services as quick actions inside Automator. Bart explains how he used JavaScript to create quick actions to change selected text to lower, upper, or title case, and even plain text. He's also got ones that count characters, lines, or words. You know how annoying it is when you copy some text and it's got like leading or trailing spaces, and then it doesn't work properly when you paste somewhere, like maybe like a phone number into a web form? Well, he's even got one that will trim that annoying white space off of the clipboard. Now, I said I would make sure you're not scared off if you're not a JavaScript programmer. Bart very helpfully made all of his quick action / services available for download, so you can install them on your Mac and use them without any programming at all. It was a really fun episode, and we both enjoyed ourselves immensely talking about it. For once, we didn't strictly stay on task either, and we chatted up a bit about all kinds of things because we were having such a good, relaxed time. Since this episode didn't fit in Chit Chat Across the Pond Light, and it didn't fit in Programming by Stealth, I decided to put it in both. Look for it in your podcatcher of choice, or you can listen right over at podfeet.com looking for Chit Chat Across the Pond, episode 628. And I've got a link in the show notes to Bart's excellent written tutorial over at bartb.ie. And you can also find the download link for his quick actions right there. There we go. That was worth redoing it.
Much better than Ninth Time.
Kiwi.
So Sandy asked
fuzzy,
if we could show pictures, and I don't think we can quite yet.
No, I'll sneak you one on the side, though. This week's... Okay. So I'm going to make a chapter mark for Chit Chat. Copy link. And again because this app is stupid. And we're good to go. And now, why are you not going? Oh, there you go. So we are going to do line doc. Bring in here.
The show might be relatively short if you only have one live reading tonight.
One live thing. Yeah. Well, the show isn't going to be short.
I mean the live show.
Yeah, the live show won't be too long. So if there's any of these that you're interested in listening to more detail.
Well, the line doc is probably the most interesting to people here,
I think so.
Yeah, probably.
Well, that dog fence was pretty cool.
Yeah, for dog owners. I mean, it's a little more, but everyone here.
Dog owners with a lot of money.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Unfortunately. All right, let me do a little quick intro here. All right, we've got a whole bunch of really good interviews from CES. I'm pretty excited about these. Let's get started right now. And I'll bring you right there. See how that sounds. Let's get started right now. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. I am a sucker for a doc, but I am at the Line Doc booth with Quentin Malgo, and this is a doc unlike anything I've ever seen before. Hi, Quentin. How you doing?
Hi, Alison. I'm doing fine. Thank you. We're incredibly excited to be here tonight to introduce the 16-inch Line Doc, but perhaps I should first explain to you what is the Line Doc.
Yes. And by the way, we love Belgians.
Thank you. So yeah, Nancy and I, we're two co-founders. We're born and raised in Belgium, and we had this incredible idea to tap into USB-C and use it as an opportunity to finally smash together all those accessories that we carry on every day, all those adapters and chargers and dongles and external hard drives and everything. Well, we wanted to make it beautiful because they're just usually $50 plastic potatoes. Well, we decided to go for something different. So we made this 9mm piece of aluminum that you slide underneath your MacBook that packs one extra charge for your MacBook. So
hang on, let me describe this.
Sure.
It looks like he's holding a MacBook that has no logo on it in his hand. It's very thin, but it's the same space gray, but it looks like a MacBook. It's a flat 13-inch.
Yes.
Very, very thin device. So now what does it have in it? Show it over there.
Yeah, so it has one extra charge for your MacBook. So it's a built-in battery, insanely powerful, up to 60-watt power output. So it's charging just as fast as a wall charger, right? You can actually fast charge the MacBook Air with it because the MacBook Air comes with a 30 watts power adapter. This one is 60 watts. You get it charged up to 50% twice as fast.
Wow, so this is power delivery, right?
Yes, power delivery, 60 watts.
Power delivery is my favorite thing invented.
Yeah, it's nuts. So apart from that, we got up to 1 terabyte SSD. So it's available in 3 storages option. First option is 0 gigs, no storage. Second is 256. And for the really heavy users, we have a 1 terabyte option. All right.
So this flat piece of aluminum is not just a dock, but it's also an SSD if that's what you need. But you don't have to pay for it if you don't need it.
Exactly, precisely. That's our strategy.
Right. Let's talk ports, though. We got to talk ports.
Yeah. So for the ports, you connect it with you connect it using a USB-C cable, and then you get access to 2 USB 3 ports, an SD card slot. This is the battery indicator.
Oh, the button we all miss on the MacBook Pro. It's gone. Yes. It's been gone. But yeah, a little button, and it showed a bunch of little blue LEDs. Oh, I love that.
Yes, with a nice fade in, fade out. It's not like 1, 2, 3. We wanted to make it beautiful.
It's very pretty.
So,
yeah.
On the back, we have a charging USB-C port.
These air vents?
This is passive cooling. No fans, no noise.
No noise. Good.
And on the other side, we got an extra USB-C port, a third USB 3 port, a mini display port, and an HDMI port.
Wow.
That is the Line Doc 13-inch.
So your MacBook Pro is just going to cover all this up. It's just going to sit on top of it, right?
Exactly. It's sitting flush. You're losing 0 square inches of workspace.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah, thanks. And the way it works is you have this tiny USB-C cable that is called a U cable because it's in a U shape.
I'm holding this in my hand. Yeah, it looks like a little tiny horseshoe, maybe an inch across. It's got two little USB ports and on or USB connectors. So I'm guessing USB-C. Sorry. So I'm guessing it plugs into the side and then it plugs into your laptop.
Precisely. That's how it goes.
Oh, that is so clean. I love this.
Thank you, thank you. So that is a 13-inch MacBook line dock. I'm sorry. That's been available since last year. But today, we're announcing the line dock 16-inch.
All right, I have a 16-inch MacBook Pro. Let's talk.
Fantastic. So we've revamped the whole thing from A to Z. So first, we've doubled everything. Doubled the SSD speed. We've doubled the USB-C hub speed. We've increased the battery size and doubled the power. So it's up to 100 watts power output from the battery.
Nice.
Yes. But then we stopped like doubling things and flexing with the engineers and started thinking from a user perspective, because who are the 16-inch MacBook Pro users? They're photographers like you, and they need things that other people don't. What do they need? They need SD cards, and fast ones. So we've added a second SD card slot, and both of them are UHS 2, which gives you 350 megabits per second read and write. That's ridiculous.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I know.
And there's our happy USB port.
Yes.
And then we still have fanless passive cooling.
Passive cooling, and then we've shifted the video output at the back and added a second one. So now we have dual HDMI output, and that allows for the sleekest setup you could possibly think of. Because look over there, we have two monitors, a dual monitor setup with a MacBook and a line dock, and you don't see any cable because all the cables are in the back.
Yeah. I'm going to take a picture of this for the show notes because that is just gorgeous. There's literally nothing. I can see a little bit of a cable coming off of one monitor, but that's it. Everything cableless.
And of
right,
course,
what about on the other side?
On the other side, we kept the USB 3 ports because we still need them.
Yes, we do.
Yes,
USB,
we do.
So they're USB Type A, USB 3 cables.
Precisely. Yes.
And power delivery on this side, and we still got our lights.
Yeah, of course, but people
Unless
have
we
been
burn the
savage
battery out.
today, so yeah.
Savage today. So let's talk about pricing. If we look at the 13-inch line dock, let's say no memory in it. What are we talking
No memory at $349 USD. Then you add $100 and you get 256 gigabytes for $449.
So that could just be your backup drive there.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a backup. 256 is just what you need. And then for heavy users on 13-inch, we get the 1 terabyte version retailing for $749 USD. All right. Now, the 16-inch that we're announcing today will be available in March, but I can't really let you know the price yet because we're still.
Oh, you're a big tease.
I know. No, but we're.
Quentin, after all we've been through together, you're not going to tell me. Here, just whisper it into this microphone.
Nah, I can't disappoint you. We still have a few details to fix. We're a really small team, only 3 people here. We're working really hard, but today we're still waiting for 1 or 2 quotes from our suppliers to know precisely what
it costs you.
Yeah, exactly.
This is beautiful work, and I think you're in the right market because Apple people appreciate a beautiful design, and a lot of docks are horizontal, lay on your desk, and they take up a bunch of space. I've been favoring like the CalDigit TS3 Plus that at least stands
Wonderful.
up,
Yes.
so it doesn't take up a lot of room. But this doesn't take up any room because my Mac would be under it. On
Yes.
top of it, I should say.
Yeah, exactly. And another cool thing about it is that when you're not at your desk and you have your computer in your backpack, for instance, well, this thing is still beautiful on your desk.
Yes.
Because the other solutions, in my opinion, they don't, right? They're
Cables hanging all over the place.
exactly. Like this thing is neat, and well, we put all the love that we have in it. So I hope you like it.
It looks fantastic. So, Quentin, if people wanted to find more about LineDock, where would they go?
www.linedock.co.
LineDock.co, and it's Belgian. You gotta love that.
Thank you very much, Alison.
Okay, so I should mention the inside.
Yeah.
And I took that so that you would have that, and I forgot to give it to you.
Yeah. That.
So, all right, I'm going to say.
Are you going to say some? They won't have the advantage
I'm just going to
of
say a
this
little
photo.
bit about it.
You could put the photo in the. I could put
in the. Right. You could put it underneath.
Put it in the blog post, I guess.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know if that's a high enough res one. If you want another one, let me know. I'm going to go ahead and record right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Linedock.co.
Linedoc.co, and it's Belgian. You gotta love that.
Thank you very much, Alison.
Now, I told you guys that we had a lot of really cool interviews, and you can tell that I loved this guy. I just thought this doc was fantastic, and his enthusiasm was wonderful. After we finished recording, he did something interesting. He showed us the inside of the line doc, and the inside of the line doc is a map of the globe, a flattened map of the globe, and it's got little lights for where each person who worked on the project lives. And it's really cool. It's as Steve said, it was very much a Steve Jobs painting the backside of the fence thing to do, and it just showed this detail and joy that they had in what they had built. So actually, now that I look at it, I'm looking at a photo I took of it. I think it's actually the back of the circuit board has it printed on it. So anyway, it was very, very cool, and I can't wait to see these things come out. It sounds like a really nifty device. Well, this next interview it takes a little while for the guy explaining it to really get across what it is he's describing. And so it's a little bit on the visual side, but let me try to give you a little bit of a setup. The problem that they're trying to solve is that when you're driving, you often have lights coming at you that can obscure your vision. And this is a method of actually blocking those headlights from your view. And this is a very much a concept thing. It's not productized. It's not something you're going to buy personally. This is something for car manufacturers to build into the cars. The company is North American Lighting. And so I was hoping that setup would maybe help you understand what you're about to hear. Did I describe that correctly, Steve?
I would have used the word adaptive based on the precise position of the oncoming car. It blocks out, puts a shadow on just that one spot, so the rest of the field is illuminated brightly.
Should I try to do the whole thing again?
Only if you'd like to.
Let me try it again. Okay, this next one we're going to talk to you, going to play for you here is a little bit less practical, well, a lot less practical and it's not something you're going to be able to buy. And the guy explaining it takes a long time to actually get to what's really cool about what he's describing. So I want to set it up for you so you understand why this is so cool. This is a company called North American Lighting, and they make they're building these adaptive headlights for cars. And the idea is that one of the problems in driving is you're driving along and somebody comes at you with bright headlights and basically blocks all of your vision. These are adaptive headlights where the bright headlights get actually dimmed out in your vision. They get obscured adaptively. So something moving a bright light moving will actually be kind of shadowed out, and yet everything around the rest of the object will be visible to you and brightly lit. So it's kind of hard to explain, but I just want to give you that setup so that now when you hear him describing it, you'll know what he's talking about before he actually gets to the point. How's that?
Better. Yeah. So even, this is in the chat room, I put in the only image I could find on their website that tried to convey the concept, but even that doesn't do a good job. I think this is an earlier version they're showing where it blocks out vertical bars. It puts a shadow that tracks oncoming traffic. It does more than that now. What they're putting is a rectangle. So both X and Y.
Did I describe it backwards then, Steve? Is it that I'm not going to shine my lights at you?
Correct.
That's not what I just said.
Okay. Yeah, this is the headlight putting a rectangle around an oncoming or a trailing car, a car that it's...
So you can get it. If I had these adaptive headlights, then the car that's coming towards me would be saved from my bright lights. But if they didn't have them, I would still get their bright headlights in my eyes.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is modifying the headlight beam so that it puts a shadow. I think the word shadow is good.
Shadow is good.
Precisely on the position, adaptively tracks the car that's oncoming and moves the shadow and sizes it to just block out that oncoming car or a car you're trailing.
Okay.
All right.
I'm looking at the list of audio I have, and I have something called Koido. Is that North American Lighting?
That's the same company, yeah. It's North American Lighting is a
okay, and is On Point Systems spot on?
Yes. It's
you
very
probably could have named
confusing.
those in a way I could tell what was
the
what.
trouble is
but-
they've got company names and product names, and it's always kind of confusing which one to use.
Right, but it would help me in the future if it was the name that it says in the show notes. That's all I
think
care about.
You got it.
Okay, I'm going to try it again. Here we go. I want to give you a setup for this next interview that you're going to hear. It's from a company called North American Lighting, and they've created what they're calling adaptive headlights. The guy that's going to do the interview doesn't really get to the real point for quite a while in the interview. So I wanted to kind of set it up for you so you'd understand what he's talking about before he actually starts describing it. The idea of these adaptive headlights is they would allow you to not shine bright headlights into people's faces like oncoming cars. So it actually puts a shadow, adaptively puts a shadow where the lights are coming at you. So when I'm driving a car with these adaptive headlights, my headlights would not shine in your eyes because you've got your headlights shining at me. So I'm able to adapt and not shine directly at you, but my headlights would be brightly lighting everything else. So it provides this shadow that protects you from ending up with bright headlights in your eyes. That's the idea. And so this is not something very practical for today. It's definitely a future thing, but it was still a really interesting concept, we thought, and worthy of playing. And it's not something you can buy. It's something that they will be trying to talk car manufacturers into putting into their cars in the future. All right. With that big preamble, let's play the interview. All right.
So one other thing is they do have a version
don't
of
change
this.
It now.
No, I'm not. You don't have to say it because we're talking mainly to the U.S. But in some countries, they do have this approved, but not North America.
Okay,
regions.
I'm going to play. I am.
Do it.
And I need to put the chapter mark in now.
Please
that
do.
You've. Okay. One moment. Right. There we go. Let's play the interview. We're in the Koito booth right now, and I'm talking to Kishore. How do you say your full name again?
Kishore Ahuja.
All right, and okay. So let's see. One. All right. Now it's time for when the live show goes wrong.
And this will actually be some live pot feed.
Are you complaining that I don't do any work while you're?
No. I'm just
not
glad
pointing
to see
that out at all.
You're doing some work.
You're on thin ice tonight.
It's
You're
hard to get good help.
not for me. I got great help. All right, I got the taxes done this week, Steve. I don't want to hear any crap out of you tonight. All right, here we go.
Much.
Well, this next tech story I'm going to tell you about may have no value for you other than your own entertainment, but it will have value for me. As part of a cathartic exercise, I'd like to explain everything that went wrong from a technical perspective last week when we tried to do the live show from Lindsay's house. I'm hoping that if I tell you about it, maybe I'll think to look back at these notes next time if we run into similar problems. All right, let's review our normal setup for the live show before I explain how different things are on the road. When we're at home, Steve uses a 27-inch iMac with a second 27-inch cinema display. He runs the software Mimo Live from Boinks on his iMac to capture video from his webcam, video from my webcam, video of my desktop, and audio from both of us. We moved all of this heavy lifting to his computer just, a year or 2 years ago, and it's been great that I no longer am driving the production of the live show while also creating this podcast. He uses a Logitech C920 webcam to capture his video and a Heil PR20 microphone for his audio, and the Heil requires a Shure MVI audio interface that takes the Heil's XLR input and converts it to USB that he can plug into his Mac. I use a Logitech C920 webcam as well, a Heil PR40 microphone, and the same Shure MVI audio interface. I have all of that hooked up at home to my 16-inch MacBook Pro and a 27-inch LG 5K display. All right. On the road, though, Steve uses his 13-inch MacBook Pro instead of his iMac, and I keep using my MacBook Pro. I like having one computer. I don't cut into this two-computer nonsense. Anyway, in theory, we both carry our two Logitech webcams with us on the road. The Heil mics are kind of a problem to drag along because they're installed in boom arms and difficult to remove. Instead, our Rode microphones are the Shure SM58s I bought last year for just this purpose. These are nice as Rode mics because they can take a beating. They're XLR mics too, so we need to carry an interface to USB. When we went to Lindsay, Steve brought his Shure MVI with him, but I wanted to use the Zoom H4n Pro portable recorder Steve bought me that doubles as an audio interface. In retrospect, I think using the Shure MVI would have made my life a lot easier. Now, in theory, this is all we really need to make the show happen. Now I'd like to talk to you about how absolutely every single thing we tried to do, now pretty much everything went wrong. First of all, Lindsay and Nolan are super accommodating when we need to do recordings, helping us rearrange their rooms to our heart's content. Both their guest room and our grandson Forbes' bedroom have built-in desks, so we drag in a couple of kitchen table chairs and we're in good shape. I take the guest room while Steve is in Forbes' room. I juggle a lot of apps during the live show, so I need screen real estate. There's a 24-inch display in the guest room, which I can hook up via HDMI to my MacBook Pro with a USB-C dongle. I've done this before, and it worked great every time. Now, I plugged in all my hardware and started to get ready to go when Steve realized that he forgot to bring his long Ethernet cable. Since Steve is the one broadcasting the video to the internet, it's essential that he has the fastest connection available, not me. In the past, he has used this long cable to go from Forbes' room to the guest room where Lindsay and I set up an Orbi mesh router. Now, that Orbi isn't the primary one. The primary one's miles away in the den. But this Orbi is connected, in theory, to Ethernet over power line. So it should be a faster connection if you're wired to it. The Ethernet over power line connector came up as part of some janky free system. Well, actually, no. Now that I think about it, it came from a system to do with their solar. So they got solar energy, and the solar panels needed a wired connection. So they installed these little Ethernet over power line adapters, and they had an extra one, I guess. And so one of them is sitting in the guest room. So I'm not actually 100% sure it's doing anything. And I've also not been absolutely sure the Orbi is doing the job we need for their very long ranch style home. But it feels better if Steve, who's broadcasting the video, is plugged into Ethernet. Well, Lindsay dug out a shorter Ethernet cable because Steve brought his forgot to bring his long one. So that meant we had to switch rooms. We disassembled all these different pieces we carried with us, and we switched room, dragging the hardware back and forth, including me moving the monitor into Forbes' room, just so Steve could plug in. All right, great. Let's get started. Well, in order for me to send my video to Steve running Mimo Live, I open a unique URL in Chrome that connects me to him using something called Mimo Call. It doesn't work well with Safari, so I have to use Chrome or Edge, which is based on Chromium. Unfortunately, when I launched Chrome and tried to go to the Mimo Call URL, it would not render. I tried Edge. It wouldn't work either. In fact, I couldn't go anywhere on the internet using Chrome or Edge. I opened Safari, and that worked just fine. What on earth would let one browser out, but not another? I suddenly remembered that I'd recently been in the car trying to tether my MacBook Pro to my iPhone and not being able to connect to some services, but others would connect to the internet. At the time, I immediately remembered why. Back in 2015, I told you about a tool called Trip Mode. It's a tool that limits your Mac network usage to only those apps you allow. For some reason, this tool that I hadn't interacted with in ages, ever since I got an unlimited data plan, had decided to launch automatically again. Maybe that's why Chrome and Edge can't get through. I launched Trip Mode from the menu bar, and sure enough, Safari was enabled in Trip Mode, and Chrome and Edge were disabled. I have to stop because my cursor's gone. Come on. Where are you?
Entirely?
I'm serious. Yeah, I can't see it.
Does it have an effect if you just start clicking? Well, that might be dangerous.
No, I need to. That is really weird. As long as I keep this invisible cursor over Mars Edit, I think I'm okay. I took a screenshot because I messed something up. Let me see. Oh man, nope. Anybody know how to get your? This is great. As I'm doing a recording, talking about how everything should not work. All right. Well, I guess I can keep going. Let me go back and hit record and see if it'll work. Where was I? Did I say I tripped? Yeah. Okay. There we go. Well, I quit trip mode, and since my memory is approximately on par with that of a hamster, so I knew this would happen again, I immediately went into System Preferences and I removed trip mode from my startup items. I launched Chrome, and it immediately connected to my Mimo call session, and now I was ready to connect to Steve. But when I went into the Mimo call, Steve was not there. I then heard some grumbling from the other room about Mimo Live needing some updates on his MacBook Pro. Of course, it's up to date on his iMac at home, but he hasn't tried it on his MacBook Pro in quite some time, so he had to run the updates. While awaiting Steve's arrival, I launched Discord so I could chat with the live audience. It's not uncommon for Discord to get its panties in a bunch and have trouble launching, and of course, on this day, it did just that. After watching it spin for a bit, I read the message on screen more carefully and saw that it was telling me that there was an update. But the update was failing, and it was retrying repeatedly, saying, I'm going to try again in 60 seconds. Well, I quit and restarted it several times with no joy. Then I heard from the other room that Steve was having the exact same problem with Discord. I thought of a workaround for the misbehaving Discord desktop app. I've embedded the live chat from Discord using a bot on podfeed.com/live. I can chat there. But then I remembered I never finished configuring the bot last week when our previous bot went haywire. And instead of showing the NosillaCast chat channel server, it was showing some generic server. And someone in there was repeatedly writing a very non-NosillaCast safe word over and over and over on the screen. This is just what I needed. I jumped into WordPress, did a search for the live page, and immediately deleted all of the code to connect to the bot, and I will figure that one out later. Around this time, both Steve and my Discord apps finally got their updates, so we were finally back in business. That's when Steve realized that he forgot to bring his wired headphones. We both keep a set of Bose noise-canceling earbuds in our backpacks for travel on planes. I was planning on using mine, but I figured I could wear some earpods and give him my Bose. See, the problem, he can't wear the earpods because they fall out of his ears, so I had to give him my Bose. That's when I realized that all of the modern earpods have lightning connectors, not headphone connectors, and there's no adapter that goes in that direction. I also can't use Bluetooth headphones because I monitor my own voice, and there is a huge lag on Bluetooth, so you just can't monitor your own voice with Bluetooth. Can't be done. All right, so Steve's got my Bose. What am I going to do? Lindsay dove back into her cable box, and she found an older pair of earpods with a headphone jack, and now I was good to go. Now, it's worthy of note that when we got home, Steve's Bose headphones decided to reveal themselves in the totally wrong pocket of his backpack. I think they were conspiring against us. At this point, I discovered I forgot my Logitech webcam. Seriously, I can't even make fun of him for not being able to find his headphones. He graciously said he'd use the built-in iSight camera on his laptop, and I could have the Logitech. After I got it set up, though, with the fluorescent overhead lighting in Forbes's room, I pretty much looked like death warmed over using the Logitech. Steve looked great with the internal camera, where he also had this same fluorescent overhead lighting, so I bailed on the Logitech, and now I look good too. Now, remember I mentioned up front that Lindsay has an HDMI-capable monitor? I had dragged that from room to room so I could use it for application overflow. I plugged it into my dongle, and it looked great. And then it started to blink. Not all the time, just like every 10 seconds or so. I fiddled with all of the options, and no matter what I tried, it kept blinking. Well, that won't do, so I unplugged it. I brought in my trusty 12.9-inch iPad Pro, and using macOS Catalina's sidecar feature, I had a gorgeous high-resolution display at my side. I should have done that to start with. All right, you would think we were good now, right? But let's talk about audio. Steve had no trouble at all setting up the SM58 mic to his Shure MVI interface. I plugged the SM58 into the Zoom H4n Pro, and I went through the little on-screen dance to switch from using it as a recorder to using it as an interface. One step of that is ensuring that the sample rate is set to 44.1 kilohertz. You may remember that discussion we had last June when I told you about the Zoom H4n Pro. If you don't have it at 44.1 kilohertz and instead have it at 48 kilohertz, you end up sounding like a chipmunk. I don't really know why that's an option. I should find out someday. Anyway, I did a test recording and my audio sounded like horse poop, as Bart would say. It was crunchy and distorted as I was monitoring myself. I unplugged the XLR cable at both ends. I tried the second XLR input on the recorder, and I even got Steve to swap XLR cables with me to see if it was a connection problem. I didn't realize it while monitoring my voice, but on playback, I noticed that my voice was not only crunchy, it was also sped up. I double checked the setting on the Zoom to make sure it was at 44.1 kilohertz, and I even rebooted the Zoom, but it was still horrible audio. Of all the things to go wrong, this is the worst because there's no point in having a live show or me even recording because I can't even record the actual podcast, right? Well, finally, I remembered that there's this arcane application on the Mac called Audio MIDI Setup. It's buried down in utilities, and it also has a sample rate setting. Now, of course, I had put that in my write-up of the Zoom H4n, but remember that part about me having the memory of a hamster? Well, anyway, I knew this would fix the chipmunk problem, but it turned out to fix the crunchy problem too. I'd never heard it do that problem before, but I was delighted when it went away. Now, can we start the show? All right. No. We've got every single failure fixed, and it was time to go live. At first, we couldn't hear Steve in Discord, but that happens to us all the time. So he just quit Discord and he went back in. But then the live audience said my audio started getting choppy. Then we noticed that my video was really choppy. I went in and out of Discord and they'd say, oh, yeah, it's good. It's good. Oh, no, it's gone in the pooper again. Well, at this point, I told Steve in the audience there was nothing left for me to do. I was out of ideas. I was exhausted by all of these problems and I had adapted to every single one of them and I had nothing left to offer. I assumed my choppy audio and video was a networking problem and I wasn't about to diagnose the network that night. I had to bail on the live show and I was really sad because Michael Price was back in the live show after a really long time away. I hated to bail on everyone because we have such a great time cavorting with each other on Sunday nights, but it was not meant to be. We shut everything down and I recorded the show all alone. Well, a few days later, I was at home when I realized why my audio and video was a mess on the road. Anyone already guessed it? Remember that awesome tool I told you about less than a month ago called Turbo Boost Switcher? Its whole job is to turn off Turbo Boost on my command. I had left it turned off. So here I am on my wicked fast 8-core, 2.4 gigahertz i9 MacBook Pro, capable of bursting to 5 gigahertz. And it was being forced to stay down in the low 2 gigahertz range while I'm asking it to broadcast video and audio and record audio and live chat and some video on my desktop to Steve. The poor thing never had a chance. Well, I did say I had the memory of a hamster. And like I said, perhaps this story won't help you in any of your technical work, but I felt the need to tell you the story, especially the story of how I could have succeeded in the end, in spite of the technical gremlins conspiring against us. And my cursor came back.
Really? Just by itself? It decided to...
Yep.
Interesting.
Hey, Franco. Do we know Franco? Is Franco new?
Don't know. I'm not sure. I don't recall Franco, but it could be me. By the way, Mark joined us.
Mark.
Yeah, I think you've heard of him, Paulie.
Oh, I remember him.
Yeah, he used to join us all the time. I think the grandkids didn't come this week, or tonight. So.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's because we're early with the time zone change.
Made the cut. Could be. That changes a lot of schedules sometimes.
Yep. Well, I actually created the live show right after our granddaughter was born, so I don't know. I've got my priorities set right. All right. What am I doing next?
Oh, wait. Franco may respond to us.
Hi,
he's
Franco.
probably going to tell us he's been here 100 times.
I drop in every few months. There
Okay.
we go. All right. Who is next? Is that turning slow? Well, that's interesting. Next is Night Watch.
Night Watch.
Yeah. I'm going to just do this.
Wait a minute. Wasn't he also from Belgium?
Was he? No, Netherlands.
No, Netherlands. That's right.
Netherlands.
We got a couple countries well represented tonight.
Yeah, when we were, maybe I should mention that. Oh, yeah, this is the Netherlands one. Why is this not rendering nicely? There we go. Okay. So I think I'll just go right into Night Watch. Boom. All right. Gremlins conspiring against us.
We're now in the Netherlands section of the of Eureka Park, I think.
I wasn't sure where I was. I went out of my way to not go to Eureka Park. I didn't want to go to Eureka Park because none of that stuff is real, and I ended up doing like more than half of the real showroom floor interviews from Eureka Park.
I think it was done. It was more well done this year. Not to make it sound like a steak or something, but it was organized better. It seemed that it wasn't quite as crowded. It wasn't quite as
well. I got sick of the crowds at one point. I was just like, nope, got to go upstairs.
That kind of defines Eureka Park.
The thing I didn't like about Eureka Park in the past was it looked like kids' science experiments. You know, they were little cardboard setups and stuff, and nothing was real.
But there are some good real products there, things that are actually on the market.
You found a Quark there.
You bet.
Your little quantum computing friends?
Yes, my buddies.
All right. I don't know.
They're here sometimes and not here others.
Who was it? So this guy was from the Netherlands. What was it like? The Crown Prince of the Netherlands was there or something like that?
Yeah.
I don't know if I have anything brilliant.
Prince?
Yeah.
Is it Prince?
I might go back to back into a second interview. I don't know if I have anything brilliant to say. I mean, all I can say is, yeah, that was cool. Right?
Yeah. Well, I think did we determine that this is operational, this is being used in the Netherlands, but not yet in the U.S.?
Yeah, he said they'd sold 1,000 of them.
He
says that in the interview. Yeah, let me just slide from this one to the next one.
Well, thank you for having us. And yeah.
Well, for all the dog lovers out there, I'm with a...
All right. There we go. So this last one, I'm not going to play it, but it's cool. It's a smart fence for dogs. It's basically a perimeter fence that you can't see. And it's really, really cool, but it was really expensive. Do you remember how much it was, Steve? Steve's not talking.
I think it was well over
like thousands.
It was $1,500 or $2,000.
I mean, if you were going to build a fence, it would be worth it. Like on a couple of acres.
Yeah, if you're going to build a large a fence for a large perimeter, then this might pay. But for anything small, I'm not sure it would.
Or if you travel a lot with your dog, you want to bring him with you, and you want to let him roam free camping or something.
But how
rich people camping?
Yeah. So do you want to just tell people what the basic idea is?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
With the collar? I missed it. Okay.
I don't remember all the details. See, the problem is the last time I've seen these was when we did the interview, and Steve has seen them this week. That's why I'm always asking.
So
Steve.
Basically, it's a collar the dog wears. He gets first audio cues, then more blaring audio, then shocks, mild static shocks, as he comes close to the perimeter you've defined. Their new thing is the perimeter is not defined by a wire or an embedded, something underground. You simply walk the perimeter with an app, and it records your GPS coordinates as you walk the perimeter, and that's stored in the collar, so you don't have to. That's how you program your perimeter. It's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, it's really nifty. Blackwall is more budget friendly. Well, it depends though, Sandy. If it was like an acre property or something,
or 2 or 5, yeah,
Yeah.
It could get expensive if it's a large perimeter.
And like we said, if you travel and you want to be able to just put it up anywhere you are, you could do it. Kind of cool. Yeah. I don't want to shock my dog anyway. Well, it wasn't a bad shock.
Well,
it wasn't like a bug zapper.
They never used the word shock. They said a
vibration or
a static correction. Static correction was the term. I had to say shock when I wrote it up because otherwise, what are you actually doing? Because you actually got him to admit it at some point. But he then said there are one of 30 selectable levels, so you dial it down to just where you get the dog's attention. So I'm sure that
Kevin says his family may want to put it on him. He might need the high attention one.
I like that.
All right. I'm going to keep going here.
Appreciate the time.
Really appreciate it. Good to meet you.
Well, I realized that it's been quite some time since I was a new patron of a podcast, and I was curious whether the Patreon people had changed the interface to make it any easier to figure out how to support the Podfeet podcast through Patreon. In the old days, it was sort of difficult to figure out because I published the NosillaCast weekly, and so I set it up to charge weekly, but that would mean the minimum you could contribute was $1 a week. But what if that's too rich for your blood? Now, I'm happy to say that they have modified the interface, so it's much clearer and easier to modify it to your own budget. By default, you see a window that says choose what you pay, and it's set to $5. Below that, it has a radio button where you can choose to support every creation, the default, or you can set a monthly limit. If you changed nothing, you would be supporting the Podfeet podcast at $20 per month. While that would be awesome for me, you can, of course, modify this. If you change the radio button to set a monthly limit, you can go as low as $1, and you can even choose how many times per month you'd like to be charged. The funny thing is, you can change it to $1 per month if you like, but you can also go up to 99 times per month. But that's a bug in the interface, but I still thought it was funny. So anyway, I thought that was really cool. Patreon lets you have complete and granular control of how much you want to pledge to support the work we do here at the Podfeet Podcast. Go check it out at podfeet.com/Patreon. Right, there was a big typo in there I want to fix. Let me go find it. Here. Where was it, do you think? There was the word between, and it didn't mean to be there, and I didn't even have the URL in there. At $20 per month, and then I had a number that didn't have the dollar, so at $1, there we go. So go check it out at podfeet.com/Patreon. So I think you could make it $1 a month.
Really?
Yeah.
What's
Which
the
makes
default? There's some default, which is
it defaults to $5 and every time I make a show. So the default is $20 a month.
Really?
That's why I wanted people to know. So, I mean, I think the stuff we do is totally worth it, but there might be some people that don't think it's like 2 Netflixes worthy of a month, right? I'm just saying, you know.
Don't undervalue yourself.
Copy, paste. Oops. Paste. And Security Bits with Bart Bouchatz is up next.
John wants to know if he can have a Patreon that pays him $1 every time he listens to a show.
Sure.
Yeah. That's called GoFundMe.
Yeah. Really. Let's see. Security Bits then. Oh, we got to have the Security Bits music.
Sandy points out another problem with the fence. It doesn't stop another dog from coming in to your property.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Or a person coming in to kidnap your dog. Sandy, you basically need a fence in this case.
Well, wait a minute. If they start running with your dog's going to get shocked as they're trying. Dog's going to start screaming. Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, but it doesn't keep shocking them after you leave the perimeter. So you got to get them through quickly.
Are you
sure?
sure?
The person kidnapping the dog doesn't know this.
I just pictured Dodger just running through it and not even noticing.
It wouldn't phase him, even on level 30.
Yeah.
Although a citronella spray thing would work for him.
Oh, yeah. Do you guys know about citronella? Dogs apparently hate the smell of citronella. So Dodger was really big on barking. I mean, it was really getting to be a problem with, especially because they got a pool table and he hated the sound of the balls hitting. So every time you made a shot, he would just lose his mind. And that was, of course, horrible. So Lindsay found a collar that would spit out citronella every time he barks. And I'm telling you, you put that thing on and he just stops in it, like one bark and he's done. He's not going to bark the rest of the night. And it seems to have muted him down fairly well. Maybe we need to get one to keep at our house though, Steve.
Oh,
like make him wear it in the house all the time.
It seems a little more humane. It's a bad smell versus a shock.
Yeah.
And it's quite effective.
Right. I'm going to listen to this intersection here. Feet.com/Patreon. Well, it's that time of the week. I'm going to slide that over a wee bit. I am just assuming Bart didn't give me his recording. Let me just make sure. Yeah, I knew he'd forget.
Brett says the whole house will smell like citronella.
Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for secure. Yeah, exactly. It probably would. Have you met Dodger?
Yeah, I think Brett knows him.
Okay. So this is only for the live audience. This has nothing to do with anything. But last night, so Dodger can open everything. I am not making it up that Steve had to replace the door handle on the inside of Lindsay and Nolan's kitchen because it was a lever, and he would pull the lever down and pull it towards himself and get out of the house. So anyway, he's very clever, and they have to lock everything up. Like they have to lock up their garbage and everything because he can open everything. And last night we heard Lindsay all of a sudden heard Dodger was in the garbage, and our garbage is in a drawer, and Steve's like, well, who left that drawer open? Right. And then Lindsay says, wait a minute, you have a Wise Cam that's been monitored, that looks at the kitchen, don't you? So how long did we spend on this? Half an hour.
This reminds me of a Black Mirror episode that I saw.
Right. But yeah, what was great was he walked into it himself because he accused us of having left it open. We go back, we review the footage, and of course, it was Steve who left the drawer open.
In my defense, I actually pushed the drawer closed, but it didn't shut all the way. There was like an inch opening, and that's all that Dodger needed. And we saw the moment where Dodger finally nuzzles it open with his nose and gets it wide open, starts digging around. It was like Chevy Chase's Christmas Vacation with Snots.
Oh, it was hilarious.
Digging through the garbage. It was just like that.
I distracted Steve. Is that what it is? All right, let me catch the end of this.
Thank you, Kevin.
And do the NosillaCast now. Oh, yeah, you'll like this. We ended it like 4:15.
Oh, okay.
That's why I felt comfortable throwing it in. All right, Bart. Well, this has been great, but I'm going to hang up on you quick because I got to switch gears and do the NosillaCast now.
Okay, have fun. Until next time, happy computing. Stay patched, stay secure, whatever. One of those. Bye.
He sounds a little overmodulated.
Yes, he is. He has been, and I can't get him to fix it.
And you can kind of see how he's peaking in the audio there.
It doesn't actually look peaking.
Higher than you.
Yeah, but not much. It's not much at all.
Well, the discerning ear.
I know he's peaking, and I've talked to him about it, and I can't get him to stop. So I don't know what to do about that. He's worse when he uses his own audio. This one's with I heard it when we were recording too, but he says, this is the same level I always record on. So what am I going to do? Can't do anything about it. All right, here we go.
To record on a lower level.
Shh. Okay, it's 1:58. You said the show wasn't long enough. Here we go.
1 hour and 58 minutes?
Yes.
Oh, wow. You want to cut it back?
58 minutes, and it's 5:58. Stop talking. All right. Well, that is going to wind us up for this week. Do not forget to send in your dumb questions, comments, and suggestions. You can do that by emailing me at Allison@podfeed.com, and you can follow me on Twitter @podfeed. Remember, everything good starts with podfeed.com. You wanted to go check out that new way you can become a patron? Go to podfeed.com/Patreon. Well, you don't like that. You want to maybe do a PayPal donation instead? Be like Chris, set up a little quarterly alarm to remind yourself to just do a donation. You do that at podfeed.com/PayPal. Want to join in the conversation? You can do that one of two ways, Facebook or Slack. We are at podfeed.com/Facebook and podfeed.com/Slack. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeed.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And most of the time, it doesn't crash and burn. And that's where you can join the friendly and enthusiastic Nosilla castaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Whew. Once you peak, the audio can't be recovered. Yeah, if you know anything about photography, you know how you can't recover where you've peaked on like white or black, where all the color is gone. It's the same thing with audio. Exactly the same. Stay subscribed. All right, we are a wrap at 6 on the nose. Nailed it.
Good job.
All right, everybody. Did I miss anything fun? Once you peak, you can't unsee it. Nice. Oh, I made a pun this week. I'm going to tell my pun. Dorothy.
Wait, is it clean?
Yes, Dorothy and I. Oh, Ian Lessing's here. Hi, Ian.
Yeah, he snuck in.
Nice. Yeah, he likes my analogy to photos. So anyway, Dorothy and I'm working on my homework and I'm texting Dorothy because I'm confused about something. She's helping me. And then there was one little bug that I couldn't find. And I finally found it. And I wrote back to her. I said, oh, yeah, I did blah, blah, blah. And she said, well, what did you do that for? Because we're snarky with each other. And I said, because I'm a moron. And she said, no, because a moron wouldn't have been able to find it. And I said, I am both a moron and not a moron. I'm an oxymoron.
Oh, boy. I'm going to stop the stream on that.
All right. Bye, everybody. Bye, Rose. Was Rose here? No, Rose is here. Well,
yes.
Oh, she is. All right. Bye.
Good night, Gracie.
Sign us out, Steve.